Hey guys, welcome back to Here's a Storm. EleventyTen here, and today we're looking at Cassia, recently released hero. I'm testing her on the PTR as there are some changes coming to her, or at least some changes that have been proposed. So we'll get to see her in her non-live version, but most likely this is what she'll end up being on live if these changes go through. So we're going to look at her talents and her skills. A little bit of a lore history lesson, I guess, or a lore lesson. Don't yell at me if I get something wrong, but she's based off the Amazon character from Diablo 2. And she plays and reminds me very much like very much of Pantheon in League of Legends, in the way her particular playstyle is here in Here's the Storm. Obviously in Diablo, you had the three kind of builds that you could make. I believe she had a javelin build, a bow build, and a crossbow build. I'm not exactly sure of the third build, but I know there was a javelin build and a bow build. I tended to play the Bariza Amazon myself, but she did have a good spear build. But in Heroes of the Storm, we have, like I said, quite similar skill set to Pantheon. So we got Lightning Fury, which is a skill shot, shoots a javelin towards the first enemy, and it will split into 2 extra bolts if it hits the enemy on the way through. I've got to set myself to level 20 here, so we're talented up. We'll go through the talents in a minute. Blinding Light, blind enemies in the target area for 2 seconds, passively deal 15% increased damage to blinded targets. So that's the lightning bolt, and that's our W. Her E is Fend. This is what really reminds me of Pantheon. We'll just show you here. Just refresh these forts. She jumps in and does a spear barrage. That's really a Pantheon type skill. Plus her passive. We'll look at her ultimate in a second. Her passive is avoidance. While moving unmounted, she gains 65% reduced damage against basic hero attacks. Pantheon's passive, I believe, or one of his skills anyway, was you block 1 in every 4 attacks from heroes, or block 1 in every 4 attacks. In this case, she reduces the damage taken, but if she's standing still, it doesn't count. And her ultimate, we'll look at the first one here, is Valkyrie, and it sends a Valkyrie out that rushes towards her, pushing or pulling the first enemy it hits, first enemy hero it hits. So let's just switch on a enemy hero to come out and fight us here. Let me show you. So here we go. There you go. So like you can see there, that's the Valkyrie. It'll push the enemies the enemy that it hits to you, kind of like a reverse Reinhardt charge, and any other enemy heroes get knocked back, so it just pins one, so to speak. The other, if we reset our talents here, we'll climb back up to the other ultimate. Let's see here. The other ultimate is Ball Lightning. Throw a lightning ball at an enemy hero that bounces up to 6 times, so we'll see that now in a second. So going through the talents, Thunderstroke, Empower Lightning Fury, hit 20 heroes, increase the damage by 75. After hitting 40 heroes, it gains a second charge and its mana cost is reduced. True Sight, Empower Blinding Light. I thought this was, initially I thought it was way too high. Hit 60 enemies with blind. The reward is increase your blind duration by 1 second, and increase Blinding Light's passive damage bonus by 15. So it goes from 15% and increases by another 15. We'll talk about that in a second. Charge Strikes activate to empower your basic attack damage for 25%. Cause basic attacks to bounce. That's pretty good, but it's only an 8-second buff, so you have to make sure you've got plenty of targets. Let's go with True Sight. The quest, I thought 60 was too high, but if you look at this actual talent here, it's a good combo. Whenever you get stunned, rooted, blinding light is cast at your location. So I guess you can prep this depending on who you're playing against. If you're playing against a heavy CC team, particularly melee CC, you can automatically blind your opponent, and that will, I believe, combo with the quest, because it just says damage blinded enemy heroes. It doesn't say that you need to cast the spell on them. So inner light combined with true sight might not be so painful to get hit 60 times if you're in a melee stun CC based fight. Ring of the Leech, damaging blinded targets heals you. Again, very situational. Blade of the Whale, I think, is really cool. A nice combo with the passive, and a nice throwback to the Diablo items of old. Blade of the Whale, of course, being the name of one of the items you can get, which I believe typically gives you life regeneration. But in this case, it's a bonus to your passive. For every 5 basic attacks absorbed with avoidance, you regenerate an additional 1 health per second. After absorbing 75 attacks, increase your maximum health by 10%. I think that can be potentially huge later on in the game. So the next level up then, number 7 or level 7, again you can do another passive boost, War Traveler. Gain 4% movement speed every 0.5 seconds while avoidance is up to 20%, and you reset it when you stop moving. Impale, simply increase fend damage, simply or pretty much like a Mortal Strike. Well, not Mortal Strike, I guess Execute. They take 50% increased damage from fend if they're below 50% health. Surge of Light, activate avoidance to deal damage. So again, this is to do with your trait. After you take so much damage with avoidance active, you can activate it again to deal 500 damage to enemies around you. That's actually very similar to Genji's Absorb or Genji's Deflect talent. I think it's called Dragon Strike. And in that one, you can, once you deflect a certain amount of damage, you get an activatable skill to do damage to enemies around you. So that's almost the exact same in mechanics. Obviously, it's themed differently for her. We look at War Traveler. The next level up, we'll go to Ball Lightning. We already saw Valkyrie, and we'll show you Ball Lightning now in a sec. Grounding Bolt, Lightning Fury slows, pretty simple. Thunder God's Vigor, again another throwback to Diablo with the name of the talent here. Reduce Lightning Fury cooldown for enemies hit by the primary missile, reduce it by 1 second. Seraph's Hymn, basic attacks reduce blinding light cooldown. Again, if you're comboing this with the other blinding light talents, makes it very easy to get to that 60 quest target. Reduce the cost of it from 70 to 42, which is pretty cool. And if you attack a blinded enemy, you again further reduce the cooldown by 3 seconds. Lunging Strike increases the area and duration of Fend. Now Fend does leave you quite vulnerable. If you look here, when you actually cast it, you do stand still for quite a few seconds, so you can end up killing yourself if you're not careful, if you're not hitting anything in that area. Let's see here. We'll show you the increased one. Pierce, Lightning Fury pierces, but it only splits when hitting heroes now. So again, that's Lightning Fury. Quite a good range on it. Penetrate, enemies take extra damage for each consecutive hit. So again, if you catch somebody in the middle of your fend, they'll take more and more damage. And Martial Law, basic attacks against stunned, root, or slowed. It's important to note here that it does not include blinded. Take extra damage equal to 3% of their maximum health. So if that had said blinded, I think it'd be a must pick, but I think they were very careful and very deliberately did not include blinded in that. You can of course slow with your Lightning Fury if you pick Grounding Bolt to combo with this Martial Law. Let's just pick Infinite Lightning. Okay, so that's the second level of Ball Lightning. It bounces indefinitely. Obviously you're going to clear all our enemies off the screen pretty quick if you're killing a minion wave. Very much like another skill in LoL. Was it Rise, I think. He has a ball lightning type spell that bounces between minions and heroes, so very similar there. Titan's Revenge, basic attacks ignore armor. That's actually huge. Um, I mean, if you're fighting another Cassia, you're basically negating her talent or her trait. So a lot of characters have armor now. I think Diablo has armor. A lot of the tanks have armor uh, since the reworks. So that's actually huge, I think. I don't know if this is more beneficial to this if you're getting a lot of auto attacks in. So you can kind of base it depending on who you're fighting. If you're fighting a lot of armored characters, then definitely pick the ignore armor. So let's look at Ball Lightning here and the increased range on Fend. He's going to be dead. Can I catch him, I wonder? So Artanis' trait or passive rescued him there. Oh, you have to cast it on a hero. Okay. Let's wait for Artanis to come back here. We'll clear this out. Okay, where is he? I guess I could refresh him. Let's refresh him so I can see what damage it does. Okay, so you have to keep moving to keep your passive active, and you can see the 5 health being returned there, and as soon as you stop, you lose that buff. Okay. Oh, interesting. Huh. Whoops. So you can easily move out of it, as you can see. And you can shoot, or you can attack through the gate. So that's her talents, all the way up to level 20. I think she'd be an interesting character to play. Like I said, very reminiscent of Pantheon from LoL. Only mention it really because obviously he's another MOBA character. It's another MOBA game, and there's a very distinctive play style for a character like that. You have to pick your moments when you charge in with Fend, because like I said, standing still, being particularly vulnerable, if you're not hitting those targets, you're going to get annihilated or just waste your cooldown and your mana. This one's pretty cool, Ball Lightning. It says it bounces up to 6 times between nearby enemy heroes and Cassia. I'm going to just reset our talents here and
choose a talent. Choose a talent.
See what it's like when it's infinite.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
Okay, let's do infinite bounces. Huh. Well, as you can see there, it was doing about 450 damage each bounce. Maybe the indefinite bouncing would be worth it. You never know. I mean, again, it depends on your comp. If you're in a team that you've been able to throw out damage, and not get ganked too much, if you've got a good tank in front of you, it might be worth it. Yeah, 450 damage. So it stopped there. Now, why did it stop? It must have been a range issue. Okay, so you have to stay pretty close. And it does persist through using other spells. So you need, I guess this is the area, so you need to stay within. Okay, so folks can just run away from it. So the indefinite thing obviously can be manipulated to stop, especially if it's a one-on-one situation. Now what's interesting is if you're using the passive that gives you movement speed, it might make it almost impossible for them to get away from you, because you get 20% if it's fully buffed up. Let's just have a look here. Yeah, you still have your movement speed buff. You can do some pretty big damage there if you're not getting attacked by their DPS. Very interesting. Very, very active character. Have to be on your toes all the time, constantly moving. Yeah, I think I like that. I'm not 100% sold on her art, but it's just personal opinion. So let's have a look at her skins real quick. I think that's all we have to show you regarding her talents and her skills. Now, at least in this particular PTR, there's not too many skins, and I'm kind of disappointed. There are a couple more new ones that have been put on the PTR. So we have the default color schemes, a new pirate one, Pirate Cassia. 2 color schemes for that. And we have a third color scheme for the pirate. Here we have the War Matron Cassia, which is kind of like a master version.
Let me aid you.
Pretty nasty, dark looking Dead Walker War Matron. And then the last color scheme. So I think there's some room for improvement with skins. There's not too many options there. I'd like to see some variation. But that's Cassia. If you haven't seen the Genji video I put up, please go and check it out. It's quite interesting. I think anyway, Genji's going to be a really cool character. While we're here, we'll have a quick look at some of the skin packs that are available on the PTR right now for testing, or at least to look at. It's a pretty awesome Oriole skin. Pity Oriole isn't that fun of a character to play. I think the resource generation for Oriole is pretty tough to get around. We've got color variations there, but I like the theme of the skin. And the other one is Azaria. Now I actually think that's pretty awesome. 3 color versions. Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome skin. They need to put that in Overwatch, honestly. It'd be very upsetting if they get better skins for Heroes of the Storm than they do for Overwatch. We've seen the Genji ones in the other video. So that's it for now, guys. I'm going to see if I can get a video of the new Hanamura map. There is very few people playing right now. It's actually a brawl that's in testing. I hope to have a video for you guys shortly, but there's so few players on the PTR overall that queue times to get one of these games are ridiculous, and they're adding AIs in for most of them. So the only one game I did complete was 4 players and 6 AIs, so it wasn't great fun. But that's the Cassia review video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got some good information. She is live at this time as of April 17th, I think. I'm not even sure what day it is. I think it's April 17th. In any case, she is live at this time. Go check her out. And if you're interested in all this new stuff for the PTR 2.0, please check out the video I did on it last week. It is on the channel. Here's the Storm 2.0 PTR Open Beta. So you can just download the Open Beta client, sign in, and have a poke around. So yeah, thanks guys for watching again as always. If you did like the content, please drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.